Okay, trying this again because I had no sound. I moved to a better location. So I'll wait a couple seconds for a couple people to pop on because I did not announce a live. I know I need to do that, but I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of girl. This is on menopause and weight gain, HRT. Yes, Heather, finally I got sound. I moved to a place that had better signal. So I think that's what it was. So, menopause. Menopause for women, it's going to be different for everybody as far as when it starts. So, perimenopause for me was in my early 40s. I guess some women can go into perimenopause in their 30s, or of course, if you have hysterectomy, you have your ovaries and uterus removed, then it's going to be much earlier for you. So, perimenopause is when you're going to start to see some of that weight gain. And the reason that we gain that weight is estrogen is dropping, but so is progesterone. So progesterone is what we have during our period. So as we start to not have a period anymore, that estrogen, so progesterone is here and estrogen is up here. And of course, during different times of the month, they're going to go up and down. But with perimenopause, progesterone starts to go down and estrogen starts to go down. So even though you have lower progesterone, you're estrogen dominant most of the time because that progesterone is going to completely go away, and so will the estrogen eventually. And when that happens, our bodies will try to store fat. And the reason that our bodies are trying to store fat is because it tries to make estrogen from the fat. It can try to make that from the fat cells. So that makes sense, right? We're going to store fat, especially around the belly, which is where most women start to store it. And even for me, I never stored fat in my stomach, ever, ever. Always had super flat tummy until I got to menopause. And then I felt like I tended to store more fat in my stomach. But the good news is that with HRT, all of that goes away. And honestly, I was lucky because my mom, I'll be 56 this year. My mom is 76. So she's 20 years older than me, but she actually went through menopause when she was in her probably late 20s, early 30s, probably late 20s, because when she had my brother, he was a very big baby, and shortly after that she had to have a full hysterectomy. So then, of course, hysterectomy throws you into menopause early. So estrogen's gone, progesterone's gone, all the hormones are gone. So for her, what she did, which this was before the the WHI studies, the Women's Health Initiative, which was back in 2000, where they took women average age of 65. Majority of these women were obese, and they put them on synthetic estrogen and synthetic progesterone. And some women were just on estrogen, some women were on estrogen and progesterone, and then I don't know that there was a placebo group in those studies, but there were some just on estrogen and then some on estrogen and progesterone. And here's the kicker to that study, is that if there were women that wanted to be in that study that were already on estrogen or progesterone, or already on HRT, they weren't allowed to be in that study. So we didn't really have the group that they used in that study was very skewed because those women had not been on HRT. They were average age of 65, so they'd been in menopause, probably a lot of them, maybe like 20 to 30 years. So they'd been a long time without estrogen. And majority of them were overweight. So we know that from all of the research, if you are overweight, you are more susceptible to breast cancer. So what they found in that study was that in the estrogen group, that the synthetic estrogen, that they saw a slight increase. And actually now I don't even think it was significant. If we look back, was it statistically significant? But they saw a slight uptick in breast cancer in that arm of women with just the estrogen. The estrogen and progesterone, actually, I believe they saw a decrease. But because they saw that increase, and then those women also had, they saw heart attacks, but these women were 65 and they were overweight. So, of course, and they had not been on estrogen for a long time. So, it was during that period that doctors were like, no more estrogen for anybody. My mom had been on estrogen way before that. So somehow she just had an amazing physician that she told him, she's like, I'm not going off of my estrogen. So she was able to stay on that. She is 76 today. So before she was 30, she was on it, been on it almost 40 years. And for her, it's been a blessing because she fell twice. Once she got bifocals, this was like 4 years ago, broke her nose, didn't break a hip or anything like that. And then last year she fell again and she got really dehydrated with a flu. I believe she had the flu, but did not break a hip again. So very lucky, and we believe strongly that that was attributed to the fact that she had been on estrogen and was able to preserve her bones, because when they did a bone scan on her, they said that she had very little bone loss. So, and she's still on estrogen today. She's 76 and she's still on it. She loves her estrogen. So I was lucky when I went into, even when I got to like early 40s, mom was like, are you still having your periods? Because you need to go on HRT. And I didn't even, there wasn't even on my radar. So when she told me that, I thought, what? So, because I didn't know, so I started researching, and I was finishing my undergrad in health science at the time and then went on to do a master's. So I knew how to do research, which I was thankful for that. I knew how to look at studies. I knew how to go search the data. I was able to do that and knew that estrogen was something that I definitely wanted to do. I started with a 0.05 dose, and if you guys are in perimenopause or menopause, I will tell you the most incredible resources that I found were right here on YouTube, and it was Menopause Taylor, or Barbie Taylor. She's a retired gynecologist, but now she just does menopause. She does menopause consultations online. She is a phenomenal resource. She has written 2 books. She has a ton of YouTube videos. So if you are in perimenopause and you're wondering, or even if before, I wish that somebody had told me even before that, because then I would have known and wouldn't. I panicked a little, but then I was like, oh, okay, I just take HRT and I'm good. But she has a plethora of knowledge, and it is Barbie Taylor, or Barbie Menopause Taylor. Probably 1,000 videos on YouTube, if not literally like hundreds, I know. She also, again, has the book. Get the book if you don't like to watch the videos. But I learned a lot from her, and just looking into the research. Now, Heather Hirsch is another one that I learned a lot from later on. She came around later. But those were just really good. Menopause Taylor, Barbie Taylor was just a really good resource for me. So I started on the 0.05 because I knew that was the minimum therapeutic dose. And I did the micronized progesterone, and I did estradiol, which is the bioidentical hormones, the patch. I did the patch. Now, the difference between the patch and why I chose it over the oral estrogen is the oral estrogen there is a slight increase there's a risk, there's an increase for blood clots with the oral. So I'm just like, why take that risk? It also goes through the liver. Why take that risk? And third was, it can lower your testosterone because it increases sex hormone binding globulin. And sex hormone binding globulins grab free testosterone. So the free testosterone that we have, if we're taking oral progesterone, that or the oral estrogen, that that oral estrogen, if you're on that, is going to grab that, it's going to increase the sex hormone binding globulin and grab that free testosterone. Does that make sense? So basically, oral estrogen lowers your testosterone. So I didn't want to do that. And the patch for me, I did twice weekly. When I first started the patch, it was this big, huge round patch, and it was once a week, and it wouldn't stay on. But then I moved to I think they just came out with a twice weekly. So I moved to the twice weekly, loved it because it's really small, it's clear, and it stays on. I can even, like when we go in the summer on vacation, and we'll go for like 2 weeks at a time, and I'm swimming in the sea every single day, and it does not come off. So never comes off. I take hot baths, even like at home, does not come off. I do use an alcohol pad and clean my skin and then put it on, and it never comes off. So they're great to stay on. But those are game changers. And if you're seeing that, you talk to your doctor. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is just my experience. But for me, those were game changers because I really never had to go through a lot of weight gain or sleepless nights or even hot flashes, because as soon as I started into perimenopause, I got on HRT. So I had the patch and I had progesterone. So I really didn't have to worry about any of those symptoms because I didn't allow myself to go down that path where I was without estrogen. And then vaginal estrogen, actually my mom told me about that too. She said, just go ahead and take vaginal estrogen, which she does. She said, like, take it a couple times a week because that protects the vaginal tissue. And it was honestly, like, I had been on that a long time. Now everybody talks about it, and now they use it as a face cream. I don't put it on my face, but now it's common. You have to take the vaginal estrogen to protect the vaginal tissue. But again, my mom was just a queen because she told me, hey, you want to ask for vaginal estrogen to protect your vaginal tissue, and keep it healthy. And there's another lady, she's a urologist. I've seen her videos on Instagram. I'm sure she has stuff on YouTube. What is her name? She's a urologist, and she talks all the time about vaginal estrogen. And she's a urologist, not even a gynecologist, but she talks about how it keeps the tissue healthy. If women are having recurring UTIs, this is a perfect thing for them, because with vaginal estrogen, it is a very small molecule, or it's a large molecule. So it's too big to leave wherever you put it. So if you put it in the vagina, it stays in the vagina. It's not going to travel to the bloodstream or anything like that. So it's very safe. And again, speak with your doctor. I'm not a doctor. But they even look at blood serum levels of women who take vaginal estrogen, and it doesn't change. So if some women say, oh, well, can I just take vaginal estrogen, the estradiol cream. Now there are some, I think there's a Uvafem and different ones that are systemic, but the vaginal estrogen cream is not. So it's not going to leave the vagina. It's going to stay right where you put it, but it's going to keep your tissue healthy. So if you have painful sex, if you have vaginal dryness, if you have any of those issues, that is coming from a lack of vaginal estrogen. So that's why it's important to have that vaginal estrogen cream, and for most women it's a couple times a week, and it's just something that people, I think, didn't talk about. I was very fortunate because my mom told me, hey, you need to ask for that, and I did. And the doctor, I have amazing gynecologists, and they gave it to me, and they were actually educated on it as well, which I'm thankful for that. And that's, I think, the hardest part with menopause is finding a gynecologist that is that's educated in the current data, because a lot of them still believe, oh, that increases your risk of breast cancer. And when you go listen to Heather Hirsch or you look at recent data, we can see that to me, there's not a statistical, from what I've read, there's not a statistical increase in breast cancer. It's just not there. And so And again, talk to your doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm just sharing my experience. But for me, and I talked about this with my gynecologist, if I got breast cancer today, for me personally, if I got breast cancer today, I would do whatever I decided on my treatment, and then I would go back on vaginal estrogen because again, quality of life means something to me. So I don't want to be without it. That would be miserable. I mean, the hot flashes, the weight gain, and when we think about when we think about estrogen with the patch, remember this: not vaginal estrogen, but estrogen will protect the brain. We know that it is a protector against Alzheimer's, and when you watch Barbie Taylor, you watch her videos, she talks about that and about the data and the research. It's all clear. And it also protects the heart. And then if you're not getting that visceral fat, which is what we get when we go into menopause without hormones, that's the fat that's wrapped around the organs. So we don't want that. We do not want that visceral fat, and it's really hard to get rid of that too. And again, it's around the organs. So by using the HRT, we can help prevent a lot of that because it helps us to, and I don't want to say balanced because hormones are never balanced, even when we're young. Like progesterone's here, estrogen's here. On your period, progesterone's like the week before when you're PMS, progesterone's going to go up. That's what makes us feel miserable. So they're never balanced. They're always, it's like a give and take, right? So when somebody says your hormones have to be balanced, how's that going to happen? Because they weren't balanced before we went into menopause or perimenopause. So it makes sense they're not going to be balanced, but still we bring them up to a level to where they were. And I think it's different. I do believe that the human body is unique. We're all different. And so some people will ask me, how much do you take? And I can tell them, well, I take, like right now I'm on the 0.075 patch, and I do micronized progesterone at night, 100 milligrams. But that's me. And that might not be right for you. You may just need the 0.05, the dose I think on the patch goes up to 1 milligram. I tried that. Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you. I thought maybe I need to go up because there were a few nights when I wasn't sleeping, and it turns out I was just on my phone too much late at night, and I was stressed. But I thought, okay, maybe I need to go up in my estradiol patch. So we increased it. This is insane. We increased it to 1, and within a month I gained 8 pounds. 8 pounds. I felt so swollen. I was miserable. My rings wouldn't fit. I could feel the water weight. I could just feel it. I was miserable, absolutely miserable. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So I completely went off for a week, probably a week, at least a week. I just went completely off, let that kind of get out of my system. And I lost that 8 pounds. And like a week later, I lost that 8 pounds, but it was water weight. So that's why when you start your estradiol, when you start the patch, if that's what you decide to do, and again, that's a conversation that you have to have with your doctor, because I'm not a doctor, but I can just tell you that it takes a while to get the dose right. And it just, it's like with any medicine, your body kind of has to adjust. So even when I started with the 0.05, it took me a while to kind of adjust to where I felt like, because I had gained, not a lot, but I had gained a little bit of weight, maybe a few pounds. But then once I got my dose right, that all went away. So now here's another thing too that people are going to tell you, oh, if you just go on HRT, you're not going to have to worry about your weight. That is just complete bullshit, because I've always had to worry about my weight, I've always gained weight easy, even like when I was in high school, college, I'm just one of those people that I've always had to watch my weight. Now I'm thankful for that, because I feel like I'm primed to know that I have to move my body, I have to exercise, I have to watch what I eat. And it's just because you get on HRT doesn't mean it's some magic pill that you're not gonna you're gonna like lose the belly fat. You're still gonna have to work to get it off. If you gain the weight, you're gonna have to work to get it off, but it will come off. And here's the most important thing that I want you to hear, if you don't hear anything else, is that it's a process when you're losing weight in perimenopause or menopause, and don't pay attention to the scale. Like, don't get frustrated if you're doing all the right things for a couple weeks and you're not seeing a lot of change in the scale, because I think with our hormones, they just can hold on to water. So it may take, a while for that weight to come off. So it can be slower, but it will come off. That's the hardest part, I think. That is the hardest part about weight loss in perimenopause and menopause, because when we were younger, it's just you don't eat for a few days, cut back, and it seems like, boom, the weight's gone. And it is, and it's not, I mean, again, I've always had to work. I felt like it was easier for other people than me, but still, it's harder now, but it's worth it. Like, you just stay the course. Stay the course, stay focused, move your body. And you see these weighted vests now. I have been wearing a weighted vest for 11 years. I was wearing a weighted vest before they were cool, and everybody thought I was the psycho with the weighted vest on. They would make fun of me at the gym, because they're just like, you're crazy with that weighted vest. But I liked wearing it. Honestly, I didn't wear it for more weight loss. I wore it because, which it turns out it is supposed to help with. Okay, sorry guys. My phone died, so it's on charge, and I hope you guys can still hear me, because I can't use my AirPods because it's charging. So the main thing is stay the course with your whether you're trying to lose. Just stay focused. Don't give up. And it's hard. It's so hard to hang in there and keep going. But I promise you it's worth it if you'll just stay the course. And that, like I said, there's no easy answer. It's nothing easy about it. But HRT has been a game changer for me, and I'm so glad that I had my mom to kind of guide me. And it's just, again, it's made my quality of life better. So we'll do another live on menopause. I'll call it Menopause Part 2, and I'm sorry the video cut out because my phone died. I'll try to have it charged next time. But anywho, we will do a Part 2, and I will talk more about the weight loss and how to maintain through menopause, or to lose, because I know that's important. And it's not just, it is a little bit of vanity, but it's also about, looking good and feeling good. And there's nothing wrong with you or me or anybody wanting to look good, and wanting to feel good, and being, not being overweight is, that makes us healthier, because when we carry extra weight, we're increasing our risk of other diseases, and that's certainly not a way that I want to go into my golden years, is with chronic disease. I don't want to do that. So Heather, thank you for jumping back on. I don't know if you'll catch the end of this or not, because I see your comment on there. You saw where it stopped. But anywho, thank you so much, Heather OG, for telling me that my volume wasn't working on the first one. Love you guys, and we will do a second Menopause Part 2 where we talk more about weight loss. But anywho, have a great day, and maybe I'll try to do the other one on Friday. Let's try to do it on Friday at 1:30. Let's do Friday at 1:30. We'll jump back on and try to finish the menopause part 2 weight loss. So, anywho, have a great day. Much love. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.